Clive Davis, yeah, that's the monster. And the head of Universal Music Group, he's put Diddy up, and they sacrificing Diddy. They said, nigga, you gotta take this shit. We can't be involved. But Diddy's smart. He filmed every session. He was fucking Clive and the motherfucking freak boy that run Universal Music Group. Now that's why they raiding the house, because they got friends in Homeland Security and the feds. And they said, get in there and get them tapes from this nigga. He trying to blackmail us. That's what I believe is going on.
Y'all want me to talk about Clive Davis? Okay, let's do it. But I'm telling y'all right now, this story already took a turn that I was not expecting. So Clive Davis is over Arista, which is over Diddy's Bad Boy record. Now, rumor has it, allegedly, Diddy got on his knees for Clive Davis in 1994, and that's how Bad Boy Records came about.
Y'all, this Diddy plot has just thickened. It's starting to look like there's even more to Diddy's lawsuit with the feds than we knew, because word on the streets is that Diddy is allegedly being set up by the feds in a shady coalition with some very powerful people in Hollywood. And according to Eddie Griffin, those powerful people are none other than Clive Davis and Lucian Grainge. Now this is very interesting, because in Lil Rod's lawsuit, he claimed that Lucian Grainge was allegedly enabling Diddy's bad behavior and shady activities because he was profiting off of it. But now that they've been exposed, Eddie Griffin claims that they have turned on Diddy and are allegedly conspiring with the feds to set him up and make him take the fall for them. But does Diddy still have some dirt on Lucian and Clive? And has he really been blackmailing them for years? Let's break down this tea.
My focus right now is Sean Combs.
Okay, tell us why. Tell us why.
Because he's a sex trafficker. And he's using music and entertainment to sex traffic.
Y'all, this situation with Diddy has been one of the most craziest and wildest stories that we've seen in a long time, because every time that we start thinking that we understand what's going on, something crazy happens to prove we don't even know the half of what's happening behind the scenes. But now Eddie Griffin is revealing that the raid on Diddy by Homeland Security was allegedly a setup between the feds and some powerful people in Hollywood. The two names that he dropped were Clive Davis and Lucian Grainge. Now back in the 90s, when hip-hop was on the rise, Diddy caught Clive's attention. You see, Diddy was young, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed, and had big ideas that hip-hop was going places. And somehow he managed to sell Clive on the whole thing. Now before you know it, Clive's throwing his weight behind Diddy's Bad Boy Records, taking him under his wing and showing him the ropes. With Clive's support, Diddy shoots up to the ranks of hip-hop royalty, hitting levels he had never ever even dreamed of hitting without Clive by his side. But here's where things start to get a little murky. There have been rumors floating around the industry for ages about what really went down between Diddy and Clive back in the day. It's not just about music, you see. Word on the streets is that Diddy went above and beyond to keep Clive happy, if you catch my drift. They say Diddy got his foot in the door by, well, doing some favors for Clive Davis back in '94, and that's apparently how Bad Boy Records came to be. Now there's speculation that Diddy and Clive were way more than just business partners, and that they had a little something going on behind closed doors. Maybe even some keeping the romance hush-hush for a good 5 years. And when you thought that it was all just gossip, Clive decides to spill tea about himself and his memoir. He came right out and said he swings both ways, confirming what a lot of folks have been suspecting for a while now.
I was only turning to bisexuality after my second marriage failed, so that it was not an issue through my life. Neither of my marriages were affected. I was totally attracted to women. When the marriage failed in the mid-'80s, I opened myself up to the possibility that I could have a relationship with a man, as well as the two that I had with a woman.
Now back in the day, Diddy was working for Andre Harrell at Uptown Records. According to Jaguar Wright, Andre allegedly had a little something going on with Clive, until Diddy came into the story and allegedly started throwing it back for Clive, ooh lord, who eventually dumped Andre for Diddy.
I honestly think he's just an extreme narcissist who loves power. He loves the ability to manipulate and control people. Why? Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, who loved to control people.
And his mentor was
Andre Harrell.
Tell us how
who was
he picked him up.
mentored by Clive Davis.
Guar claimed that Diddy then went behind Andre's back to cut a deal of his own with Clive, cutting Andre out of the equation.
And don't tell me that Andre Harrell got touched by Clive Davis too.
I'm telling you, I don't know what happened between Andre and Clive. What I do know is that Andre got passed over. Like,
Wow.
how do you go from being the president of Uptown and losing your entire company to your intern? Like, Puff started out as an intern.
Now this drama is all between Clive and Diddy, and it should have been if Diddy didn't decide to overplay his hand and record all this freaky stuff that he allegedly had going on. And it could have remained a secret if Lil Rod had not exposed Diddy's recordings in his lawsuit. According to Lil Rod, Diddy allegedly had his houses wired more tightly than the CIA, and he claimed that Diddy had cameras in every single room in his house, recording the shady stuff that went on. Now Clive is an openly gay man and not on the DL anymore, but given the crazy stuff that has been reported to go on at Diddy's parties and in his houses, let's just say that nobody wants that kind of business out there, especially not on video. But allegedly, Clive is not the only bigwig that Eddie Griffin named, because he also alleged that Lucian Grainge, who is the head of Universal Music Group UMG, was allegedly in on the whole thing.
If it's really just a quick, fast hit on the motherfucker's property, nigga, you ain't gonna call the press and say we about to hit Puffy's crib. You're just gonna hit the crib. And they just gonna have to hear about that through the grapevine and rush down there as quick as they can. But no, we seen the aerial shot of them driving up and arriving at this motherfucker's crib. Somebody's behind it, somebody way up the ladder, and I think that ladder is the head of Universal Music Group. See, he called in his favors from his friends.
Eddie went on to claim that Clive and Lucian allegedly sacrificed Diddy to save their own skin because they realized that Diddy allegedly had tapes of them in full freak mode, and they needed those tapes, so they orchestrated this raid.
Yeah, that's the monster. And the head of Universal Music Group, he's put Diddy up, and they sacrificing Diddy. They said, nigga, you gotta take this shit. We can't be involved. But Diddy's smart. He filmed every session. He was fucking Clive and the motherfucking freak boy that run Universal Music Group. Now that's why they raiding the house, because they got friends in Homeland Security and the feds. And they said, get in there and get them tapes from this nigga. He trying to blackmail us. That's what I believe is going on.
Y'all, it's definitely a lot to unpack, and a lot of it kind of adds up, especially when you consider the fact that Lil Rod also named Lucian Grainge and UMG for allegedly enabling Diddy to do these bad things. The court document said, among the concrete steps that defendants Lucian Charles Grainge and Universal Music Group took to aid the Combs ex-trafficking venture between about 2000 and continuing through November 2023. Defendants Lucian Charles Grainge and Universal Music Group concealed its delivery of vast sums of cash, likely millions of dollars, to Mr. Combs and his associates. The document went on to accuse Lucian and UMG of allegedly going over and beyond to protect Diddy's alleged ex-trafficking operation. It claimed that Lucian and UMG willfully failed to timely file required tax disclosures surrounding the funding of these ex-trafficking parties with the federal government, because doing so would imperil its ability to profit from the ex-trafficking venture. It also accused them of profiting from the operation, and that they allegedly continued to help Diddy hide the operation because they were making a lot of money from it. Allegedly. Y'all, Lil Rod was definitely not shy in his lawsuit, and neither did he hold anything back, because the lawsuits went on to say defendants Lucian Charles Grainge and Universal Music Group knowingly participated in ex-trafficking and furthered the Combs ex-trafficking venture. The concrete steps above constituted taking part in the ex-trafficking venture and were necessary for its success. The concrete steps constituted active engagement by defendants in Combs' ex-trafficking venture. Y'all, it looks like a lot of these puzzle pieces are starting to fit together, and 2 + 2 is definitely equaling 4, because it's interesting how Diddy didn't get raided after Lil Rod's initial lawsuit, but after Rod amended the lawsuit to include Lucian Grainge and reveal how Diddy was recording the shady activities that were taking place. And all of a sudden, the feds decided to get involved and raid Diddy's house, but not arrest him? Yeah, something's not adding up. Interestingly, a couple of people have made this same claim before, like Candace Owens, who tweeted, "The feds are currently raiding Diddy's house. They already knew what he was up to, but he is going to be the fall guy so that they can protect the people at the top of the ring. They are raiding his home to hide evidence, not to find it. That's how this works." Well, fans also commented, "Eddie, like Cat, never told one lie. There's a reason Diddy has yet to be arrested and he's out biking and hanging out. They got what they wanted, those tapes. And I'm telling you, it's more to it. Diddy is the sacrificial lamb here. He's still not innocent, but there's some head honchos that need to go down with him." But what do y'all think about this? And what do you feel about Eddie Griffin coming out to be a truth teller too? Do you think that Diddy is really just a fall guy? Drop your thoughts and comments below, and then check out this next video.